Now that we have got some of the more basic things in Scratch out of the way, such as variables, we're now going to move on to making a Pong game in Scratch. Now, in order to do this, we're going to have to create three basic components, or sprites as we call them. The first sprite that we're going to have to create is going to be a player paddle. We're also going to have to create a ball, and we're also going to have to create an enemy paddle. To start off, we're going to start with the player paddle, as it demonstrates user input as well as motion within the Scratch environment. Now, the first thing we need to do when creating a player paddle is to click on the Create New Sprite button down here. We want to actually draw this sprite, and we're just going to draw, of course, a rectangle. You can make it any color you want. I'm going to make mine black. And there we go. The player paddle is now in the on the Scratch stage for us to use. So now we're going to go back to scripts, and we want to make this paddle to where it moves left when we click the left key and moves right when we press the right key, or the right arrow, the left arrow. So we're going to click left arrow on this, and we're just going to duplicate. Well, we can add comment later. We're going to duplicate this, not add comment, and we want to put right arrow for this one. And the first thing we want to do is we want to change the X by a certain value, and for the left arrow that would be a negative value, and for the right arrow that would be a positive value. Now, if you don't know how the coordinate system in Scratch works, the origin, or 0, 0 of the coordinate system, is located exactly in the middle of your stage, somewhere in this area. I probably won't be able to find the exact location of it, but I can get pretty darn close. And the X portion of your coordinate plane, the X direction, is from left to right. So when you go towards the left, your X value is decreasing, as you can see down here. And as you go towards the right, the X value is increasing. The Y coordinate system, or the Y plane, is from the bottom of the Scratch window to the top. It's up and down. And as you see, as you go up on the Y plane, the Y value increases. As you go down on the Y plane, the Y value decreases. This is how the coordinate system works in your math classes, such as Algebra 1 or any other math class that you've ever taken, more than likely. Now we want to go back over here and actually get to the script. So we have the change X by -10, change X by 10 when the arrows are clicked. Let's go ahead and click and play this and see how it works. And as you see, it works pretty smoothly. The only problem you have right now is that the paddle will go off screen. Now, we don't really want the paddle to be going off screen as it is, so we've got to fix this. And in order to fix this, we need to take into consideration the paddle's location for going here. So if the paddle is less than 240, don't let it move anymore. And if the paddle plus the paddle location, because the location is measured from the top left corner, I believe. I think I set that in the sprite editor, but we'll see that in a second. We're going to reference it from the top left here. So if the paddle location plus the width is greater than 240, we don't want to allow it to move in the right direction. And if the paddle location itself, since we're referencing the top left corner, is less than -240, we of course don't want it to let it move in the negative direction. And there is a block within Scratch under the Motion tab, if on edge bounce. I used to, I believe, use this for this purpose back in Scratch, the older Scratch version that was on the desktop. But for whatever reason, within the new Scratch 2.0, that does not work. It makes the paddle actually rotate and stuff. And why do that when we can simply use this technique? And I know it works. So anyway, now we're going to add some basic logic to our key presses. So we're going to pull in Control, and we're going to have an if then for both of these. So for this, if, and then we're going to go over to motion and get the X position. We're going to go to operators and get greater than, and if X position is greater than negative 240, we want to allow the paddle to move. Likewise, with the next block, we're going to go ahead and duplicate this. We're just going to drag the change X by negative 10 and pull the change X by 10 here. If the X position is less than, and we will make this positive 240, got negative here, because this is over towards the right hand of the screen. But we also have to reference the width of the sprite, which Scratch does not have any way for you to access the width of the sprite within the window, as you see here. So we're just going to have to do a little bit of math here. So we've got from negative 177 to negative 171. So we'll say 105 is the width. So we're going to go ahead and add the width to that to see if the width is referenced on this side, and see if this portion of the paddle is over the width or out off the stage. So plus 105. And if you have any questions about how I got the width of the paddle, feel free to ask them. It's just basic math with the, if this is here, if this portion of the paddle is here and this portion is here, and based on the coordinates here, you're able to figure out the width. It's simple math. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So we're adding 105 to the X position, and if that is true, we're going to change the X by that amount. So let's go ahead and click play again. And yeah, so as you see, it's not acting like we want it to right now, but I know the reason behind that. If you pull open your costumes tab, you should see a select, there we go, here's what we want, set costume center. And where we want this is we want it right here, because that's how it's going to reference the coordinate of the costume on the screen, or the sprite on the stage, wherever that center is located. So now that we have this set, let's go ahead and play with this again. Why did not work? Alright, hold on. And now hopefully it will work. Only I could find the sprite right about now. There's the sprite. And there we go. Now it actually works. You got to make sure you navigate, and the changes you make here in the costume thing actually take effect upon the sprite. And in order to do that, you have to switch out of the costumes window, I believe. And that's what I'd done wrong the first time I did it. And as you see now, the sprite will stop when it gets to the edge. And it's a very smooth stop. It's not a bouncy stop as it would be if we used if on edge bounce, and that's why I'm not using it. Plus, if on edge bounce apparently makes the sprite rotate. Now let me go ahead and check my time really quick. I'm at 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and, if you want to stop the tutorial here, you can. The tutorial is technically complete. I do have one last thing I want to introduce to you, and that is make a block. And what we're going to do here is we're going to make a block in order to enable you to use the block in here, and it makes your script easier to use. So we're going to do a move left block. And we're going to move right here. We're going to define it right here. And now we simply move left here, and if we wanted to call move left somewhere else, we'd be able to call move left somewhere else. And we're also going to define a move right block. And what these are called in real programming is a function or a method. It is what your object does, or your sprite in this case. And we're going to define move right here and simply move the move right script down here. And it kind of makes your script a little bit easier to read. I'm just basically showing it to you for the sake of you getting introduced to it. One other quick change that we can make is we can make a variable paddle speed. And we'll go ahead and set this for all sprites. No, we'll do it for this sprite only. Yeah, this sprite only. And we're going to pull in a green hat block. And we're going to go back to data, and we want to set paddle speed to 10 at the beginning of the script. Or we'll do 5. Yeah, we'll do 5. And we're going to change the X by a negative paddle speed. So in order to do that, we're going to have -1 times the paddle speed, and we're going to move right by the paddle speed because paddle speed is positive. So paddle speed is used there, and you can use paddle speed here or right there, and we're going to do -1 times that. And as you see, these blocks right here can be very useful if you have something that you want to use in more than one location, the same chunk of code. So if you wanted to call this in, say, 3 or 4 different locations of your program, these blocks would be really, really helpful, as instead of having the if x position greater than -240, then you could simply have move left, move left, move left, move left. We will do a little bit more work with these later on, and I'll actually go into passing variables into it and stuff like that, which becomes really, 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 really helpful. But that is it, and that is all I'm going to cover from now on. For now, in the next tutorial, we'll be covering making the ball. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and leave a comment if you need to have any questions or feedback.